The moment he laughed at the way she spoke, something ancient woke up inside her. Not anger, not fear, memory. The kind that doesn't knock but breaks the door down. He thought she was decoration. He thought the room belonged to him. He was wrong about both. The dining room of Halcyon Row glowed with soft gold light and quiet power. Leather chairs, low voices, the kind of place where money didn't shout because it never had to. For most of the guests, the air smelled like truffle oil and old wine. For Naomi Carter, it smelled like pressure, like rent due in 4 days, like the ache in her calves that never fully went away anymore. She had been on her feet since late morning, a double shift because someone quit without notice. Her black shoes, bought on clearance 2 winters ago, had lost their shine and their promise at the same time. The left heel clicked wrong. Every step reminded her of it. She adjusted her apron and kept moving. Naomi was 29. To the room she was hands and timing, a voice trained to soften bad news. No one saw the faded scar near her eyebrow, or the way her fingers sometimes hovered before reaching, like her body still remembered a different life. That life felt unreal now, like a story she once read and forgot. Table 9, the floor captain snapped as she passed. Important. They were always important. She approached with menus balanced easily, her face calm by practice. The man didn't look at her right away. He was tall, clean-cut, expensive in the way that tried to look effortless. The woman beside him wore ivory silk and an uneasy smile. A ring caught the candlelight and threw it back too hard. Naomi placed the menus. "Good evening." The man finally looked up. His eyes went first to her name tag, then to her shoes, then back to her face with a smile that wasn't friendly. It was amused. He spoke, slow and deliberate, using words that didn't belong to this century. Not French as people knew it, something older, sharper, chosen to confuse. The table beside them went quiet. Naomi felt the pause stretch. The woman across from him shifted, embarrassed already. This wasn't curiosity, this was a test he expected her to fail. Inside Naomi, a door she'd sealed shut years ago creaked open. She answered him calmly, in the same dialect, clean, exact, not rushed, not proud, just correct. The man blinked. She continued, switching gently into modern French to clarify the order, then back again, correcting a word he had misused. Her voice didn't rise, it didn't challenge, it simply existed, steady and undeniable. The silence that followed felt heavy, like the room itself was holding its breath. The man's smile collapsed. His face tightened as if someone had touched a nerve he forgot he had. He said nothing, just nodded once. The woman across from him stared at Naomi with something like relief. Naomi walked away before her legs could shake. She didn't need to look back to know the floor captain was watching, calculating, deciding whether this would cost him trouble. She reached the service station and finally exhaled. 2 years earlier, Naomi Carter had stood in a small office in Cambridge, surrounded by books that smelled like dust and ambition. She had been finishing her graduate work in historical linguistics, living off coffee and borrowed time. Her research was about forgotten languages and who benefits when voices disappear. She loved it, loved the quiet defiance of it. Then the call came. Her mother, her voice breaking. Her younger brother found unresponsive, a rare infection, no warning, no insurance that covered enough. Naomi flew home. Days blurred, hospital rooms, forms, numbers that didn't feel real until they were. She burned through savings, then loans, then promises. School became impossible, life narrowed to survival. The restaurant job was supposed to be a bridge, it became a cage. Back in the dining room, the night dragged on. Plates out, plates back, smiles given, smiles swallowed. Naomi kept her distance from table 9. Another server finished them. She didn't want to push her luck. Near closing, voices rose. "He took it," the man said loudly. "Or she did. She was handling the check." Naomi froze. The floor captain rushed over. The man stood now, eyes sharp, pointing. Accusations came fast, a missing card, a stolen moment, an excuse wrapped in certainty. Naomi felt heat rush to her face, then drain. This was how it ended. Not fired, worse, marked. "I didn't," she said quietly. "Search her," he snapped. "Now." The room shifted again, chairs angled, attention sharpened. Before the captain could answer, an older man stood from a nearby table. He moved slowly, but the room opened for him without question. His suit was simple, perfect. His presence settled things without effort. "That won't be necessary," he said. The accuser turned irritated. "This is between us." The older man smiled faintly. "This is my house." He asked the man to check his pockets again. Thoroughly, the card appeared, exactly where it had been the whole time. The silence this time was different, final. The older man turned to Naomi and met her eyes. Something like recognition passed between them. "Go home," he said gently. "We'll talk tomorrow." Naomi nodded. Her hands were shaking now. She didn't care. As she stepped outside into the cool night, the city felt louder than before, bigger, like it had been waiting for her to remember something. She didn't know yet that the ground beneath her life had shifted. She only knew that for the first time in years, she had spoken and the world had listened. The door closed behind her. The night breathed in, and somewhere, something old and powerful had just changed direction. The next morning came too quietly. Naomi barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard the clink of the card hitting the table, felt the weight of the room turning toward her. By sunrise, she was already dressed, sitting on the edge of her bed in her small apartment, staring at the wall where old textbooks were stacked like ghosts she never unpacked. Her phone buzzed once. A short message. "Come at 10, office upstairs." No signature, no explanation, just certainty. Halcyon Row looked different in daylight. Without the glow and music, it felt honest, almost bare. Naomi walked in with her shoulders tight, ready for consequences. The floor captain avoided her eyes. A few co-workers gave her small looks, half awe, half fear. No one spoke. Upstairs, the office smelled like wood polish and old paper. The older man stood by the window, hands behind his back, watching the street below. He didn't turn right away. "You surprised him," he said calmly. "Men like that confuse silence with emptiness." Naomi swallowed. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." He turned then, studying her with interest, not judgment. "You didn't. You exposed it." He gestured for her to sit. She did. "I heard you speak last night," he continued. "Not just the words, the control. You weren't trying to win. You were telling the truth." Naomi nodded slowly. "I used to teach." "I know," he said. Her breath caught. He explained he'd attended a small academic talk years ago, a young woman speaking about language as power, about how silence is often forced, not chosen. He'd remembered her name, tried to find her later. She had vanished. "People disappear when life gets expensive," he said gently. Naomi looked down at her hands. "My brother needs care. Full time. I couldn't keep both worlds." He leaned forward. "You shouldn't have had to choose." He offered her a position, not charity, responsibility. A role helping document and protect endangered languages, working with communities, teaching, leading. A salary that made her dizzy, healthcare that covered her brother fully. Naomi cried then, quietly, no shame left for it. That afternoon, she went straight to the care facility, the same place with the flickering lights and rushed voices. She spoke to the administrator with a steadiness she didn't know she had yet. Papers were signed, transfers arranged, a better place. Real care. Her brother smiled when she told him, a tired smile but real. "You always were stubborn," he said. Weeks passed. The restaurant faded into memory. Naomi's days filled with meetings, planning, rebuilding the parts of herself she thought were gone. She wore shoes that fit now, clothes that felt like hers. She spoke in rooms where people listened and didn't interrupt. One evening, an envelope arrived. No return address. Inside was a short note, an apology, clumsy and thin, and a notice of separation from the woman who had sat across that table. Naomi folded it once and let it go. She didn't need it. Months later, she stood at a podium in a packed hall speaking about voices that survive despite pressure, about dignity that waits patiently for its moment. In the front row sat the older man, listening. Beside him, her brother, stronger now, standing on his own. Naomi paused once, letting the silence settle, feeling its weight without fear. She spoke again, clear and steady. She was no longer invisible, and this time she stayed seen.